You're about to hear something that might make you uncomfortable, something you've likely felt deep inside but never put into words. The rejection you dread, the one you twist yourself into knots trying to avoid, isn't your enemy. It's your greatest ally. And no, this isn't some sugar-coated motivation to make you feel better or a shallow attempt to mask the pain with empty positivity. Rejection stings. It cuts deep, like a blade carving through your confidence, leaving you exposed, questioning your worth. It shakes you to your core, forcing you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather keep hidden. But here's the paradox. While rejection feels like destruction, it is actually transformation in disguise. It strips away illusions, revealing truths you've been avoiding. It breaks you open, not to weaken you, but to force you to rebuild stronger. Because at its core, rejection is not an ending. It is an invitation. An invitation to see yourself clearly, to shed the need for validation, and to awaken to a power within you that no amount of approval could ever give. Why does it hurt so much? Because rejection isn't just about someone else's opinion. It's a mirror reflecting everything inside you that remains unresolved. It's not just a moment of dismissal. It's an echo of every past wound, every childhood insecurity, every hidden fear that whispers you're not enough. It exposes wounds you haven't healed, not just from this moment, but from years of silent self-doubt, from every time you felt overlooked, unworthy, or unseen. It forces you to face the parts of yourself you've tried to suppress, the fear of abandonment, the craving for approval, the deep-seated belief that if you were just a little better, things would be different. When someone turns you down, they're not just rejecting you, they're rejecting something in you, something that, on some level, you may have already been rejecting in yourself. And that's why it stings so deeply. It's not just their words or actions, it's the confirmation of a hidden fear you were hoping wasn't true. Carl Jung once said that everything that irritates us in others can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Rejection is no different. It isn't just an external experience. It's a flashlight shining directly on the parts of you that remain in the shadows. So the question is, what part of you does rejection expose? Is it the fear of not being good enough? The belief that you are inherently unworthy of love, success, or belonging? What hidden insecurity flares up when someone pulls away? Does it trigger the fear of abandonment, the dread of being insignificant, the unbearable thought that you are forgettable? Or perhaps it's the frustration of feeling unseen, misunderstood, as if no matter how much you give, it's never enough. What truth about yourself do you resist facing? That deep down, you are still waiting for someone else to validate your worth, to grant you permission to believe in yourself? That your self-esteem is still tied to the approval of others, even though you pretend it's not? Rejection forces you to confront these uncomfortable truths, not as punishment, but as an opportunity. Because only by facing what rejection reveals can you begin to break free from its grip. Rejection isn't random. It doesn't happen by accident, nor is it just an unfortunate twist of fate. It arrives precisely when you need to wake up, when it's time to grow, when you can no longer afford to remain stagnant. It's life's way of shaking you out of your illusions, forcing you to confront the reality you've been avoiding. Right now, as you recall that last painful rejection, you might feel that familiar sting creeping back in, the tightness in your chest, the weight in your stomach, the voice in your head whispering, "Why wasn't I enough?" It's a gut-wrenching moment, a feeling that lingers like an echo of every time you felt unseen, discarded, or undesired. But what if I told you rejection is the best thing that could happen to you? That instead of being a sign of your inadequacy, it's an invitation to redefine yourself? That instead of weakening you, it holds the power to make you unstoppable? Because the truth is, rejection doesn't break you. It breaks the version of you that was still seeking permission to be worthy. It forces you to rebuild, but this time from a place of strength, not from a desperate need for validation. And when you finally understand this, rejection stops being a wound. It becomes a weapon. Consider this. Every time you crave external approval, you give away your power. You become fragile, dependent, a puppet on the strings of other people's validation, dancing to the rhythm of their opinions, hoping they'll grant you the worth you should have claimed for yourself. The more you chase acceptance, the less magnetic you become. Why? Because nothing repels people more than neediness. The moment you believe you need someone's validation to feel worthy, You unconsciously push them away. It's as if your desperation sends out an invisible signal, a silent alarm that warns others that you are not standing in your own value, that you are looking to them to fill a void only you can fill. And people sense it. They may not be able to articulate it, but they feel the weight of your unspoken expectation, the pressure of being the source of your self-worth. This isn't just a psychological theory. It's a pattern you can observe in every aspect of life. The harder you try to be liked, the more people pull away. The more you demand attention, the less you receive. Look at relationships. When one person clings too tightly, the other instinctively withdraws. Look at social dynamics. Those who seek constant reassurance often become invisible, while those who are self-assured, indifferent to approval, naturally command respect. Look at success. Those who chase recognition at all costs often remain unseen, while those who focus on their craft without seeking applause inevitably draw admiration. This is the paradox of attraction. The less you need something, the more effortlessly it comes to you. This is because the human mind is wired to resist desperation. When you emit neediness, you trigger a deep instinctive aversion in others. But when you detach, when you no longer cling to external approval, you project a quiet, effortless power. It's not arrogance. It's not coldness. It's self-sufficiency. And that is what makes you irresistibly magnetic. But how do you reach this point? How do you stop needing validation? The answer is simple, but it's also the hardest thing you'll ever do. You must confront your own darkness. You must stand face to face with the parts of yourself that make you uncomfortable, the insecurities you've buried under distractions, the fears you've numbed with temporary pleasures. You must embrace the parts of yourself you fear, the ones you've spent your entire life running from, the self-doubt, the feelings of unworthiness, the shame you've never spoken about. Because as long as these shadows remain hidden, they will control you. You will continue searching for external validation, not out of genuine connection, but out of a desperate attempt to quiet the internal war raging within you. Jung called this process individuation, the integration of your fragmented self into a whole, unshakable being. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that you've rejected, denied, or abandoned. It's about accepting yourself so fully that no amount of external rejection can shake your core. But this path is not for the weak. It requires brutal honesty. It demands that you stop blaming the world for your wounds and start healing them yourself. Until you do this, you will always be at the mercy of rejection, because you will always be seeking from others what you haven't yet given yourself: acceptance, love, and permission to exist exactly as you are. And here's the uncomfortable truth. No one can give you what you refuse to give yourself. Think about it. How many times have you abandoned your true self just to fit in? How many times have you molded yourself into what you thought someone wanted, only to be rejected anyway? The irony is brutal. The more you suppress who you really are, the less attractive you become. Because deep down, people sense when someone isn't real. They sense when someone is performing, when someone is adjusting themselves to please. And nothing kills attraction faster than inauthenticity. True attraction isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's not about playing games, using rehearsed lines, or pretending to be someone you're not. Real attraction isn't something you do, it's something you are. It's the natural byproduct of someone who has made peace with themselves, someone who no longer seeks approval because they have already given themselves permission to exist fully, unapologetically. That kind of energy is rare. And because it's rare, it's irresistible. People are drawn to those who don't need to be chosen, those who walk with quiet confidence, not because they are trying to impress, but because they are entirely comfortable in their own presence. The world is full of people begging for attention, desperately trying to be seen, exhausting themselves in the pursuit of external validation, scrolling endlessly for likes, tailoring their personality to fit in, contorting themselves into whatever shape they think will be accepted. But the ones who stand out, the ones who leave a lasting impression, they are the ones who have chosen to stop looking outward and start building from within. They are the ones who have faced their own darkness, who have confronted their insecurities instead of masking them, who have realized that the only person they truly need to convince is themselves. And paradoxically, the moment they stop chasing approval is the moment the world starts giving it freely. Because people are not drawn to neediness. They are drawn to the rare, unshakable presence of someone who has nothing to prove. Detachment isn't about being indifferent or emotionally numb. It's about understanding that your value isn't determined by anyone else. It's about realizing that rejection is nothing more than an invitation to strengthen yourself. Every no you hear is a call to stop depending on approval and start cultivating your own internal power. Every no is a mirror showing you exactly where you need to grow. And the moment you stop fearing rejection, something remarkable happens. People start chasing you instead, because the less you need acceptance, the more attractive you become. The less you seek validation, the more effortlessly it comes. This is the paradox that most people never understand. They spend their lives running after approval, never realizing that in doing so, they are making themselves less desirable. The most magnetic people in the world didn't become that way by seeking validation. They became that way by choosing themselves. Now think about the people you admire, the ones who command attention without even trying. What do they all have in common? They aren't waiting for permission to be themselves. They aren't molding their personalities to fit expectations. They have embraced their whole selves, shadows included, and that is what makes them compelling. When you see someone who exudes confidence, presence, and an almost mysterious energy, what you're really seeing is someone who has stopped rejecting themselves. Jung warned that until we make our unconscious self-conscious, it will control our lives and we will call it fate. Every rejection, every painful cycle, every repeated experience that leaves you feeling unworthy, it's all trying to show you something. It's your own mind, your own unresolved emotions, begging for your attention. And until you face them, they will keep manifesting in your life, disguised as external obstacles. You might think rejection is your biggest enemy, but the truth is, the most dangerous rejection is the one you inflict upon yourself. How many times have you silenced your own desires to conform? How many times have you sacrificed your authenticity to avoid being left out? That is the real rejection, the silent, daily betrayal of your own soul. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will never break free from this cycle. They will keep chasing, keep molding themselves to be accepted, keep running from their own shadows, and in doing so, they will never truly be seen. Because the world doesn't recognize those who hide. It only sees those who have dared to be fully themselves. The more you resist rejection, the more you suffer. But the moment you embrace it, the moment you use it as a tool for self-discovery, you become untouchable. When you finally stop chasing acceptance, when you decide to approve of yourself first, the world shifts. People are drawn to you not because you manipulated them into it, but because you have become something rare, someone who is whole within themselves. And here lies the real magic. The moment you stop seeking validation, life starts flowing toward you effortlessly. You stop being defined by other people's opinions and start moving from a place of deep, unshakable self-connection. And that is the essence of true attraction. Not the need to be desired, but the decision to live on your own terms, whether anyone understands it or not. Rejection is not your enemy. It is your wake-up call. It is the force that, if you let it, will lead you straight to your greatest power. So the next time you feel that sting, that familiar pain, remember this. It is only pointing you back to yourself, and that is exactly where you need to be.